Diplo's obsession with underaged black girls is more terrifying than you think. Diplo's accumulation of hits and producer credits have awarded him many accolades and admiration from fans, but he's now being accused of some pretty disturbing crimes that constitute within the involvement of child exploitation and sexual assault from a multitude of women. The majority of the accusations are coming from black women in particular. With a few lawsuits and counting, Diplo is being accused of pedophilia and handing out STDs like Halloween candy. Suspicions were heightened when popular content creator Quenlin Blackwell shared that she had been living with the producer back in 2020. This immediately urging fans to accuse him of grooming the then teen, which he discovered later down the road wouldn't be too far from the truth. Along with Azealia Banks' shocking revelations of her and Diplo's previous relationship, at this point, Diplo may have to lay low after practically being caught in 4K. So, are all the allegations coincidences, or are black girls intentionally being targeted by the now notorious DJ? Popular for creating a lane of EDM music that only a select few in the genre have seen the mainstream light of day in, popular producer and DJ Diplo has without a doubt aided in the rise of electronic dance music, and has been able to dabble in other genres as well, if not from his solo work, and as part of the 1/3 of his group Major Lazer. What you're probably not familiar with is the stack of allegations the DJ is up against. As if partying with teenage fans wasn't seen as taboo enough, it's without question that being in cahoots with a much younger audience isn't too far out of the ordinary. Unfortunately, Diplo serves to be no different, because in the year of 2020 lawsuits, Twitter threads, phone calls, and text messages were leaked to the press and to us of Diplo's mishaps and tomfoolery. And believe me, when I say that the accusations against the Lean On DJ are more serious than a ping pong match at the Olympics, what makes these accusations stand out from the rest is the pivotal point of interest that has stuck out to many young black girls taking on the roles as conductors behind the exposed Diplo train. One case in specific, and the case that really got the ball rolling, was the mysterious case of Shelly August, a 25-year-old black woman who originally filed a lawsuit against Diplo that accused him of a long list of misconduct, including recording explicit content without her consent, leaking private photos, coercing her into threesomes with other minors, and to make matters even worse, he'd allegedly given her an STD. When Diplo first came across Shelly, it had been through everyone's favorite bird app, Twitter. In the year 2014, when Shelly was just 17 years young. Not recognizing the DJ off the bat, Shelly ignored the fact that the world-famous producer was in fact a world-famous producer. As far as she knew, he was just another average Joe. And quite frankly, Shelly had no idea who this man was. It was later brought to her attention that he had recently collaborated with a fave of hers, Justin Bieber, around that time. Against her better judgment, she gave in and made the ultimate decision to follow Diplo back. Everything was smooth sailing in the beginning with the two, developing a digital friendship that would soon escalate into something much more. It had gotten to a point where Diplo would often beg Shelly to come to his place of residence, in which she'd often have to give him the "boy, you so crazy" script. Over time, he'd eventually get Shelly to a place of comfort and began soliciting nude photos from the minor. It wouldn't be till around 2018 when the two first meet face to face. Shelly, now aged 21, began dating Diplo till the year 2020, and this is where everything hits the fan. Initiating a sexual relationship at this point, Diplo would often record their sexual encounters and even show Shelly videos of his encounters with other women. He'd coerce her into threesomes with girls who looked no older than 16, to which she'd deny, and when she wouldn't go along with his antics, he'd force himself onto her. No longer wanting to be a part of the nonsense, Shelly caught wind of how Diplo was treating her and the unfortunate events that he'd drag her into, and decided to sever ties, which didn't sit well with Diplo, who kept sending her messages after the fact. Fast forward to 2020, Shelly files a lawsuit against her now ex, accusing him of recording explicit material of her without her consent on 2 different occasions, disturbing one, and giving her chlamydia. When she first discovered the disease, she brought it to Diplo's attention, who only got angry and told her that he gets checked more than an adult film star. After the lawsuit was brought to his attention, Diplo began the scare tactics, hiring private investigators to harass Shelly, claiming to to know her location, her family, and everything else in between. Clearly, this wouldn't halt Shelley from filing the lawsuit, but she ended up dropping the suit altogether, citing that she never should have pressed charges in the first place. Something she later came out and admitted it had been Diplo's lawyers who advised her and others, also wanting to come forward about their abuse, to do. Despite the suit being tossed, she rerouted to her Instagram page, airing out all of Diplo's personal business, and showed absolutely no mercy. On a section of her IG highlights titled Truth, Shelley claims that Diplo took a note in Bill Cosby's playbook and drugged minors with Molly water in order to get them to sleep with him. If that didn't rattle your tail feathers, she'd also posted a shocking revelation about the well over 30-year-old, at the time given, sleeping with a friend of hers at the friend's 15th birthday celebration in Miami. According to Shelley, Diplo was responsible for taking advantage of Shelley's innocence, since he was her first everything. And I do mean everything. First time, first kiss, first person she sent explicit photos to, etc. Denying all allegations in a series of statements and screenshots, Diplo downplayed Shelley's involvement in his life as nothing more than an obsessed stalker that scammed her way into his life in an attempt to extort him, claiming to have been one to seize all contact with her. But oh, did Shelley come with the receipt? Another incident similar to Shelley's happened in 2019, after a woman says Diplo coerced her into giving him oral, and filmed the incident after meeting him at an after-party. Supplying her with the devil's juice and Mary Jane, she says he wouldn't let her leave the room until she performed the acts. All of this was practically swept under the digital rug, until popular content creator Quenlin Blackwell, most known for her quirky personality and hilarious antics, single-handedly unearthed all of the accusations in 2020, after disclosing that she had been living with her 40-something-year-old friend and producer, Diplo, who she described as her LA dad. Quen, who was just 19 at the time, shocked her supporters when she dropped the bomb, and needless to say, her comment section was in a frenzy. The majority of the comments being centered around the warnings of Diplo's past allegations and lawsuit. Noticing the backlash, Quenlin put up a statement on her Twitter page, stating that Daddy Diplo was nothing more than a family friend who she had known for years. Yes, back when she was very much underage, and that the living arrangements was just the award-winning producer trying to help her in all of her entertainment endeavors, going as far to say that she'd rather break both legs and be forced to walk than pursue Diplo romantically, and that he would rather choke. He himself put out his own PSA claiming to practically be Quen's landlord, since it was a place he owned, but he only used the building for his studio. During her questionable stay, Quenlin took to her TikTok to debut her Living with Diplo miniseries, where she shares what it's like living with him. Everything was all fine just a week ago. Well, in this case, 2 years. Replying to a comment about her unreleased music in a now-deleted tearful tangent, Quenlin reignited the Diplo groomer rumors after sharing that she originally flew to LA when she was 18, after a producer convinced her to do so a year prior, at the age of 17. Not really having a solid direction as to why she was out there, she dabbled in music and stopped doing the other things that she loved. Despite living with the producer/producers, as Quen stated, no music has been released, even though she was told she could release them in 2020. Teasing some of her unreleased material, she'd spark the Diplo grooming rumors yet again, after the lyrics describing something or someone as being a safety net was noticed. Fans putting two and two together, remembering how Quenlin had called Diplo her safety net, and that Twitter statement a few years prior. Although Diplo's name was never stated in any of Quenlin's videos prior to her living with him, a worrisome viral video made its way around the net. In the vid, Quenlin says, "Throwback to the time I was getting groomed, and all the 40-year-olds around me were like, 'Your souls are so in sync. Like, can anyone call the police? Because I'm not in a good situation, and y'all are just making it worse.'" Of course, this was met with a swarm of "I told you so's," and folks consoling her after it was evident that she had been taken advantage of. By this point, people were convinced that Diplo was the so-called producer Quenlin had been hinting at, and their suspicions reigned true after Quenlin duetted someone on TikTok sharing text messages from an unidentified person that read, "I've done too much for you to just ignore me," and "I only touched your nipple once. That doesn't count as grooming." This is where the rapper Azealia Banks' relationship with Diplo comes into play, since it had been revealed via podcast that after meeting through MySpace, he was the one who kickstarted her career. But in order to do so, she'd have to give up the goods. Illegal goods, that is. With his children's mothers both being Black women, speculations have arisen of Diplo's infatuation with Black women, specifically. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that itself, but when your so-called preference is rooted in the exploitation of underage Black girls, people just might take offense. Tweets consisting of the rhetoric, "Girls born in the 90s, I have to stop sleeping with you," in 2010 also doesn't help his case, given the fact that he would have had to been 31 at the time, and women born in the 90s, approximately aged 11 through 20. Another tweet about wanting to be a member of R. Kelly's sex cult also had the digital pitchforks up and ready in order to promote his 2012 EP. Diplo created an Express Yourself challenge, the winner being given free Diplo and Major Lazer tickets. He'd repost, like, and post videos of young girls twerking. One video in particular sounded the alarm when it caught worldwide media attention. Deemed the twerk team, 33 high school students were all suspended when they were seen twerking on school property once Diplo had reposted the video. Facing much backlash, Diplo then deleted all things related to the contest and all content relating to anyone twerking. The allegations involving the DJ, as serious as they are, hasn't seemed to slow down his career in the slightest, despite the numerous amounts of videos calling him out and exposing him for his volatile acts, allegedly. Diplo has since gone about his business, not paying attention to the underlying darkness that has since come out about him. But as Rolling Stone puts it, Diplo is a highly successful songwriter and record producer. He is also a middle-aged white man who targets very young Black women and girls for sexual assault. Do you believe Quenlin Blackwell was alleging Diplo as her groomer? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.